The room felt charged with tension. Every cast member sat in silence, each person aware that something big was about to happen, but no one quite knew what it was. Spice sat at the far end of the room, eyes calm and focused, her posture unflinching, as she prepared herself to drop the truth, the bombshell that had been building for weeks. On the other side, Bambi fidgeted nervously, her hands trembling slightly as she tried to maintain her composure. She had spent so much time weaving a web of lies that she thought she could control it. But as the days passed, the walls began to close in on her, and today, those walls were about to collapse. Her heart beat faster in her chest as she glanced at Spice, a feeling of unease building up inside her. Bambi tried to mask her fear, pushing her insecurities aside, but her eyes flickered. She knew this wasn't just another confrontation. Spice was serious. Spice was dangerous when it came to exposing people's truths. Spice stood up slowly, her movements deliberate and calculated, each step taken with precision. She walked across the room, her gaze locked onto Bambi, and the moment she spoke, the entire atmosphere shifted. "I think it's time we all know who the real Bambi is," she said coolly, her voice clear, almost like the calm before the storm. Bambi's stomach turned. She could feel the eyes of everyone on her now, their silent judgments pressing down on her like 1,000 weights. "What are you talking about?" she asked, her voice sounding far shakier than she had intended. She glanced around the room, hoping someone would speak up, hoping someone would say it was all just a misunderstanding, but nobody did. They were all watching her, waiting for the truth to come out. Spice didn't flinch. She pulled out her phone, tapping the screen with a sense of finality. "Let me show you something," she said, holding the phone up for the rest of the room to see. The video loaded, and Spice pressed play. The room collectively gasped as the screen flickered to life. The video showed Bambi, not with Scrappy, but with someone else, someone Spice knew all too well. Bambi was leaning into a man's embrace, her laughter filling the audio as she whispered sweet words to him. The man wasn't just some random guy, he was Spice's ex. The betrayal hit the room harder than a slap. Bambi's heart skipped a beat as she watched the video play. There it was, undeniable proof. She had been caught in the most intimate and vulnerable moment, and there was no way to explain it away. The lies, the manipulation, everything she had built her life on, had been shattered in an instant. "You think this is a joke?" Spice's voice broke through the tension in the room, ice cold and full of contempt. "This is your reality, Bambi. This is who you really are. You've been playing all of us. You've been lying to Scrappy, to everyone, here, and now the truth is out." Bambi's face turned a shade paler, and her hands shook as she tried to respond, but no words came. The weight of the betrayal was too much. The shame was too much. She opened her mouth to explain herself, but nothing came out. The words were stuck, lodged in her throat, like a truth she couldn't deny. "I've been patient, but this is the last straw," Spice continued. Her eyes never left Bambi as she calmly assessed her, savoring the moment of her own victory. "And this isn't just the end of your little affair. This is the end of your charade. All those times you tried to be the perfect wife, the perfect woman, while secretly behind everyone's back, you've been doing this." Bambi struggled to catch her breath, her eyes darting around the room. She saw the looks of disbelief, the disgust in the faces of people who had once supported her, once called her their friend. They had all been fooled, just like Scrappy. And now, they knew everything. "No, that's not what it looks like," Bambi protested weakly. She stood up, her knees wobbling, trying to maintain some semblance of control. I never meant for it to go this far. It was just a stupid mistake. It doesn't mean anything." Spice's response was swift and merciless. "A mistake? You were in my ex's bed, Bambi. This isn't some mistake. This is betrayal. And you've been hiding it all along, trying to manipulate everyone into believing you were the victim." Bambi opened her mouth to argue again, but the words wouldn't come. Spice had exposed her, and the truth was hanging in the air like a heavy fog. There was no way out of this. No excuse that could fix the broken trust. Not with Scrappy. Not with the cast. And certainly not with herself. As the room absorbed the weight of Spice's words, Bambi's gaze flickered toward Scrappy, standing frozen at the back. His face was a mask of shock, confusion, and pain. The man who had stood by her through everything, through the good and the bad, was now standing there, betrayed, broken. His eyes met hers, and she could see the hurt in them. She could feel the distance between them growing with every second. Scrappy didn't scream. He didn't yell. he didn't even lash out. He just stood there, his jaw clenched, his chest rising and falling with each heavy breath, his hands balled into fists at his sides as the weight of the truth sank in. "You don't deserve this, Scrappy," Spice said, her voice softer now, but still filled with conviction. "You've been played. All of us have." Bambi's heart dropped as she turned to face him. She saw the look in his eyes, no words, just a deep, unspoken pain. She reached out, but Scrappy took a step back, shaking his head. "Don't," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "Don't you dare try to explain it now." The room was deathly silent, except for Bambi's shallow breaths and Scrappy's steady exhale. Bambi reached out to him, but Scrappy couldn't bring himself to respond. It was too much. Too much to handle. Too much to forgive. "I gave you everything, Bambi," Scrappy said, his voice cracking as he finally found his words. "I loved you, and you used me. You used my love, my trust, and turned it into this." The finality of his words hit Bambi like a tidal wave. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. There was nothing left to say, nothing to fix it, nothing to take back. It was over. Scrappy turned on his heel and walked out, his footsteps echoing in the silent room. Bambi watched him go, and in that moment, she realized just how much she had lost. Not just the trust of the people she cared about, not just her marriage, but herself. She had lost who she was, all for the sake of a lie. The cast members stood in silence, the weight of the moment hanging over them. Some castmates exchanged looks, others turned away. Spice stood tall, her eyes never leaving Bambi, as the room continued to buzz with the aftermath of the betrayal. Mamadee, who had been watching from the corner, stepped forward. She had seen enough. This wasn't just a betrayal of love, it was a betrayal of family. She knew that her son needed her more than ever now, and she wouldn't let Bambi manipulate him any longer. "I'm going live," Mamadee said firmly, her eyes filled with fire. "And when I do, you'll all hear the truth. The whole truth, and nothing but the truth." She stepped toward her phone, already preparing for the battle ahead. She would protect her son, no matter what it took. The chaos in the room was still heavy, lingering in the air, like a fog that refused to lift. Bambi stood frozen, her world crumbling with every passing second. It wasn't just Spice's betrayal that stung. It was the truth she had hidden from everyone for so long. A secret child, a secret affair, a marriage built on lies. But what hurt, even more than the bombshell dropped by Spice, was the cold, empty silence that followed Scrappy's departure. His words echoed in her mind, over and over again. "I gave you everything, Bambi. I loved you, and you used me." How could she have let it go this far? How could she have let herself destroy everything they had built? Her eyes burned with the sting of unshed tears, but there were no more tears left. Her body shook, but not with emotion this time. It was pure fear. The truth had been exposed, and the world was watching. There was no way out now. No way out now. Bambi's gaze shifted to the screen, where the video played on a loop. Her affair. The man who wasn't Scrappy. Spice's ex. Her deepest betrayal caught on camera, for everyone to see. The whispers that had surrounded her for weeks, the suspicion, in the eyes of her castmates, the rumors that had always followed her, were now undeniable facts. She felt trapped, suffocating in her own lies. Every word that had come out of her mouth for the past few years now felt like poison. Every smile, every gesture, every "I love you" she had told Scrappy now felt hollow. She had deceived him in the most cruel way possible, and now she had no idea how to fix it. As the video finished playing, the room fell into an unbearable silence. Even the producers, who were always on edge when things got dramatic, seemed unsure of how to proceed. They had hoped for drama, sure, but this was something else entirely. The silence was broken when Mamadee stormed into the room. Her presence, alone, was enough to send a shiver down everyone's spine. She wasn't just angry, she was furious, and every fiber of her being screamed vengeance. She had seen enough. Spice had done her part. Now it was her turn to make sure Scrappy wasn't left to drown in this mess alone. "Where the hell is my son?" Mamadee's voice rang out, powerful and commanding. Everyone turned to her, but nobody dared to move. She was a force, a whirlwind, of protective fury. Scrappy was broken. The woman he had given everything to had shattered his heart into a million pieces. Mamadee knew her son better than anyone else. She could see the devastation in his eyes, even through the cracks in his stoic expression. He was lost, and she wasn't about to let him spiral further down. She took out her phone, already prepared to address the world. As the live stream began, she spoke directly to the audience, her voice a mix of anger and resolve. I'm here, today, not just as Scrappy's mother, but as a woman who's seen enough lies in this industry, enough manipulation, enough heartache. And I'm here to tell you all that Bambi is done playing my son. She's done playing with his heart, and she's done playing with all of us. There's no way I'm letting her get away with this. The camera zoomed in as Mamadee continued, her words like daggers. This isn't just about love anymore. This is about trust. About family. And let me tell you something, I'm demanding a DNA test for that baby. I'm not buying the lies. I'm not letting anyone manipulate my son any longer. Her words hit harder than the video itself. Bambi's entire facade began to crumble as she stood there, helpless, unable to defend herself. Every person in the room was either watching or recording. This wasn't just a private betrayal, it was now public knowledge. And the world was witnessing her fall from grace. Bambi tried to say something, but her voice faltered. Her lips parted, but no words came out. She had no defense left. Everything she had built, the friendships, the image, the lies, was shattering in front of her, and she couldn't stop it. Scrappy's phone buzzed, but he didn't pick up. He had left the set, too devastated to stay. Mamadee's live stream had already gone viral, and every word she spoke was being shared, dissected, and commented on by fans and critics alike. She took another deep breath, regaining her composure. I'm not here to play games with anyone, least of all Bambi. She's going to have to answer for her lies. And I'll be there, standing by my son, making sure he's protected. I won't let this slide. Not now, not ever. Behind her, Bambi's heart sank as the full weight of Mamadee's words hit her. The world was against her now. There was no escape from this. The truth had been exposed in the most humiliating way possible, and no amount of apologies or explanations could fix the damage she had caused. As Mamadee ended the live stream, her anger didn't fade, it only intensified. She knew that Bambi wasn't just going to walk away from this unscathed. She wasn't going to let Bambi hurt her son any longer. I'm going to make sure Scrappy gets everything he deserves. Mamadee muttered under her breath, her eyes burning with fury. And Bambi, she's going to pay for what she's done. As Mamadee made her way to find Scrappy, the rest of the room was left in shock. Everyone was processing what they had just witnessed. The betrayal, the lies, the manipulation. Bambi had been playing everyone for so long, and now the truth had come crashing down on her. But even as the cast members exchanged glances, there was one thing they all knew. This drama was far from over. If anything, it had just begun. The storm had only just begun. Bambi sat in the corner of the room, isolated, surrounded by the buzz of the cast whispering behind her back. The walls, once familiar and comforting, felt like they were closing in on her. The video, the affair, the leaked messages, everything she had worked so hard to hide had been exposed in an instant. She could still hear Mamadee's voice ringing in her ears, loud and unrelenting. I'm demanding a DNA test, Mamadee had said. The demand was not just for Scrappy's sake. It was a declaration that her son would not be humiliated further, not under any circumstances. Bambi's mind raced as the weight of the situation hit her full force. Her marriage to Scrappy, her image, her place in the show, was all crumbling. And the worst part? She couldn't undo it. There was no magic apology, no quick fix, no way to hide behind a well-rehearsed confession. This was real. The damage was done. But Bambi wasn't the type to go down quietly. She had played this game for too long. And now, she would fight too. Salvage whatever dignity she had left. But how? Her phone buzzed with messages. She ignored them. Her thoughts were too jumbled. Her fingers hovered over the screen as she deliberated. She had been caught, no denying that. The video leak had done more than reveal an affair. It had uncovered the darkness of her manipulation. Spice's bombshell had shattered her, but the worst blow was still to come. In the distance, she could see the other cast members huddled together. Some were still reeling from the reveal, others eager to pick sides. A few whispered their concerns, pretending to keep their opinions to themselves. But Bambi knew better. They were all watching, scrutinizing, judging. And then, there was Mamadee. The producers were trying to keep things under control. But it was clear that Mamadee's next move was going to set the stage for the entire season. She had made her stance clear. Bambi wasn't going to get away with this, not on her watch. And that was something Bambi had never considered. A woman who loved her son so fiercely that she would stop at nothing to protect him. Now it seemed like Mamadee had become her worst nightmare. But Bambi wasn't the only one feeling the heat. Spice was watching it all unfold, calm and collected. She had dropped the bomb. But Spice was not done yet. The storm had only begun, and it was clear that Spice had more cards to play. Bambi tried to fight back, but she was already too far gone. There were no more tricks, no more games she could play. The damage had already been done. Let her dig herself deeper, Spice whispered to herself, a smile curling on her lips. I've already won. But Bambi wasn't going to take it lying down. She had a plan, and no matter what happened, she wasn't going to let her reputation get torn to shreds. She had worked too hard to build the image of the innocent wife, the loyal woman, the one who had suffered. She wouldn't let this be the end of her story. She pulled out her phone and began typing frantically. There was a message she needed to send, a piece of her story that needed to be told. The apology wasn't enough. She needed something bigger, something that would shift the narrative in her favor. Let me control this narrative, she muttered to herself, feeling a mixture of anger and desperation. She had been caught, no denying that. The video leak had exposed her, but there was still time. She could turn this around. But first, she needed answers. She needed to clear the air with Scrappy. No more lies, no more manipulation, just raw, brutal truth. If it meant losing everything to regain some semblance of control, she was willing to do it. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was from Scrappy. Meet me outside. Meet me outside. Her heart skipped a beat. He wasn't angry. He wasn't screaming. Just a message that cut through the tension like a knife. She stood up quickly, wiping her eyes. She had to face him. There was no escaping this. Outside, the world felt different. The sun was setting, casting long shadows on the pavement. It felt like the calm before the storm. When Bambi reached the designated spot, Scrappy was already there. His back was turned, and he didn't acknowledge her presence at first. Scrappy, she said, her voice trembling slightly. We need to talk. Scrappy turned around slowly, his face hardening as he saw her. The pain in his eyes was evident. The love he had once shown her seemed distant, replaced by something else, hurt, betrayal, anger. I don't know what to say to you anymore. Bambi, he said, his voice strained. You've lied to me for so long. I don't know who you are anymore. Bambi's heart clenched in her chest. I'm sorry, she whispered, taking a step forward. I never meant for it to go this far. I love you. Scrappy shook his head. You don't get to say that. You don't get to come back and say you love me after everything. You've been playing games with my life. And for what? For some twisted storyline. No, she said, her voice breaking. That's not it. You don't understand. I was trying to protect us. I didn't want to ruin our family. Scrappy took a step back, shaking his head in disbelief. Protect us? You lied about everything. You had another child. Another man's child. And you kept that from me. How am I supposed to forgive that? The words hit Bambi like a slap in the face. She had never seen him like this, so raw, so broken. The pain in his eyes was almost too much to bear. She reached out to touch his hand, but he pulled away. Didn't want to hurt you, Scrappy, she said, her voice pleading. I thought I could keep it all together. I didn't know how to tell you the truth. Tell me the truth. Scrappy laughed bitterly. You think this is just some misunderstanding? That I can just forgive this and move on like it's nothing? You broke me, Bambi. You destroyed everything we had. I don't even know who you are anymore. Bambi took a step back, her heart shattering. I never wanted to lose you, she whispered. I never wanted to hurt you. Then why did you do it? Scrappy's voice cracked. Why did you keep lying to me? Bambi was silent, unsure of how to answer. She could feel the weight of everything crashing down on her. The lies, the manipulation, the betrayal. It had all led to this moment, and she had no idea how to fix it. You've ruined everything. Bambi, Scrappy said quietly. I don't even know who I'm looking at anymore. With those final words, Scrappy turned and walked away, leaving Bambi standing alone, her heart broken and her world shattered as she watched him disappear into the distance. She knew it was over. There was no turning back. No fixing the damage she had caused. The truth had come to light, and now she had to live with the consequences. But even as Scrappy left her behind, Bambi knew that the battle was far from over. She still had her reputation to save. She still had to fight. But at that moment, with the weight of her lies crushing her, she couldn't see how she would ever rise again. Back inside, the cast continued to process what had just happened. The tension in the room was palpable. Spice, always composed, watched the scene unfold from the corner, her face unreadable. She had done what she came to do, expose Bambi. But now, the aftermath was more complicated than she had anticipated. Some of the cast members were still in shock, others had already picked their sides. Spice's supporters were vocal, while Bambi's defenders remained silent, unsure of how to navigate the fallout. The show, once a source of entertainment and drama, had turned into something darker, space for broken people to be exposed. The producers were in full damage control mode, trying to keep the peace while the cast fell apart. But there was no stopping the truth, the lies had been revealed, and no amount of editing or reshoots could undo the devastation that had already been caused. And outside, Bambi was left to pick up the pieces of a life she had built on lies. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Scrappy. It's over. Her heart sank. It was over. It's over.